And welcome back to this week's edition of Two Coaches, One Grizz. We're here. The Grizz got a little hot here right before the show started. We got the Heat Celtics game in the background. So if you hear someone lashing out irrationally, that's just the Grizz. Let's get back to it. Grizz, how are you feeling, sir?
I'm doing fantastic tonight. It's actually a wonderful night. I have no idea what you're talking about. The usual Frankie lies to start a show. I appreciate it.
Wow.
But how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. A little tired. I'm on a labor watch, but we'll get through it. Right. Coach, how you doing?
So far, so good. The Heat is tied up with the Celtics 2-2. We'll see how they go from here. Hopefully, we can have another 25-point win at home. We'll see how this goes. They've started out cold. But we're all pulling for the Heat, and we'll see what direction we take the next few minutes while we're out here doing the show.
So before we begin and kind of give our little NBA recap, we do have to acknowledge the sad reality of the current status of our country. There was another mass shooting at an elementary school where 19 young souls were taken and 2 teachers, and it intersects with sports. We are in NBA playoff season, and head coaches, they get interviewed pretty much on the daily, and Steve Kerr kind of had a pouring out of emotions on his thoughts of what the situation is, and his frustration with the lack of movements on solving this issue. I think we can all agree here that no solution, right, is an end-all, be-all, or a cure-all. It's not a panacea for anything, but it's we have to do something. And nothing is just allowing the problem to grow and allowing it to normalize more and more.
Well, I mean, with that being said, I do think that with the tragedy that happened here in Florida a few years back, certain things were implemented in our schools. Certain things were implemented for the safety of our students that I think have not been modeled throughout the rest of the country. And even though Kerr was emotional and things of that nature, he was one of those that was against some of the things that we've done here in the state of Florida. He was against putting police officers in schools. He was the one that was asking for police officers to be taken out of the Oakland school system. So again, you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. You can't push for we got to do something, but when it's not what you want exactly to do, then that's no good. So I do have an issue with that. I think that he needs to understand that all he focuses on is gun control, which again in Florida we have a 3-day waiting period, we have a background check. We do things pretty well here. I like our state the way we do handle certain things. And again, I just think that even though he is emotional, he also is a little hypocritical.
And for me, and when it comes to this type of stuff, I don't like to even talk about it because I'm not a gun aficionado. If it were up to me, it'd be cool if all guns could be gone, but that's neither here nor there. I just think let's just do some common sense stuff. I'm all about common sense. And I'm all about, I think, compromising. So exactly. Some you got to give to get. But I just, talking before the show with Frank, we discussed. It's just, I don't know why. This is the only country that likes to do this. We're the only country that says, hey, let's just, kill a bunch of people every day. No other developed country does any of this. I just don't get it. We just got to wake up one day with having to not worry about this because apparently there's more shootings than there are days in this year apparently so far. So that means an average of 1 to 2 per day. And it just, I don't know. It's a very untouchy subject, but when it does intersect with sports, we have to share our thoughts. And I think that it's just we got to stop talking about, hey, this happened, sorry, because it's rinse and repeat. It's just over and over.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it's being normalized, and we can't normalize this. Like Coach said, we have put in measures at our schools. We are educators, as well. And yes, do we need cops? I think it is at every school, right? Because schools are supposed to be a sanctuary of sorts of learning, of development, right? Of nonviolence. And, yes, a presence and a law enforcement presence there, I think, is helpful. It is a deterrent. Each school, because of the fact that there are minors there, should have a presence of law enforcement. But by the same token, we discussed this off air, that's also treating the symptom and not the virus, if you will. And I know Coach has the same view. I think it does start with mental health, being more aware of that. You did mention in jest, but seriously, like, for all these algorithms and the technology and the monitoring and everything that we have, where is that with these situations? Because for every situation, every mass shooter, it always surfaces that, they did have posts. They had, unhinged behavior. There were signs. There were signs that people shrugged off, ignored, dismissed, whatever the case may be. And it only comes out after the fact.
Always a trail. Always someone somehow knew something that didn't say something because they probably said, this can't happen with my person or someone.
I mean, if we go back a few weeks ago and take a look at the Buffalo guy, the guy in Buffalo was an open, racist, hate monger. I mean, you say something bad about, I don't know,
travel 200 miles.
Anybody,
I think, just to go to this
and you
store.
get banned from Twitter, Facebook flags you. But this guy is continually posting hateful messages about race and the Jews and this. But that doesn't get noticed. That doesn't get flagged. You can't. Again, a couple years with Trump and all. Trump. With Trump, you get flagged, but no, this guy's okay. He can be hateful. He can talk all this garbage, and sadly go out. He orders a bodysuit, all these things, and those things we don't. For me, like I said, that's why
the only thing I can only think of when it comes to things like that is how many followers did this guy have? How many people did he reach out to? That I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but correct.
The algorithm, whatever I don't know how the algorithm.
I don't either.
I'm not an algorithm.
Every time they flag you, it's because the algorithm picked you up.
But I'm saying, like, if he has hundreds of people, tens of people, I don't know. But when, if you're saying about the president, he had 45 million people he reaches out to. So I'm just saying.
It wasn't just him, though. Like, it was you, or me. Right. If I said something pro-Trump, anti-Biden, whatever, all of a sudden Twitter would put me on timeout.
But those, because apparently the name Trump or the name, there's so many of that it links up to that algorithm gets you.
So if
I'm just saying.
Can we get the algorithm that says, I hate the N-word, Jews must die?
Any of that.
Can we... Can those be part of
I'm totally agreeing. But then someone will somewhere will say, free speech or something like that. Everything is behind, like whenever you want it to be used for you, you can use that, the free speech or unfortunately the right to bear arms type of thing. I've always said, I think the right to bear arms thing made about 300-400 years ago, it took you about 20 minutes to load up your gun to shoot maybe one person. Times have changed. Things have adapted. The free speech is still kind of the same. People were talking back then. People are talking now. The problem is now I can talk and my little words can reach the world right now. But
again, being a racist doesn't mean that you have to say, I want them to die.
Correct.
I mean, again, and I'm one of those guys.
Even if you're a racist that doesn't want anybody to die,
I'm a social studies guy.
Be a piece of shit.
Exactly. I've always believed, in free speech.
Yeah.
Why? Because I want to know where you are.
Correct.
I want to know that you are that hateful person, so I can then look at you and say, okay, I know you don't like me. So I don't want to suppress that. But what I'm saying is, as soon as you start talking about death and killing, and that changes the game.
Absolutely. You can't say certain words on a plane. It's not free speech. You can't say certain words.
There you go.
There are little small things, and I get that. And that, to me, that's like the other thing, the right to bear arms. There should be small little things like you shouldn't buy 50 guns or something. You shouldn't. At 18-year-old, my birthday gift to myself is 2 assault rifles, 400 rounds. What are we doing? We're not shooting quail today, bro. We're not going crazy. That guy's absolutely out of his mind. Again, and that's what we're harvesting these people.
400 rounds.
And I don't care. Some of them are 18 years old. Some of them are 50 years old. The guy in Las Vegas a few years ago.
Correct.
That wasn't a child.
Correct.
That was a guy that bought hundreds of guns, set up in a hotel, and just started mowing down people like if he played Call of Duty, for God's sake.
To both of your points, because I think we're all in agreement here, hey, how about, it doesn't matter if you're 18 or 50 or whatever, how about when you purchase body armor and over, let's say, I don't know, 100 rounds or something.
Listen, let's give it a nice 200. Let's give it 200.
You know, how about can that be flagged automatically in the FBI database? I don't know. I mean, that's just it's just common sense.
You should get a visit. Hey, hi, bro. Hey, Grizz, how are you? Listen, we came by. We saw you about
checking up on you. Everything
We
okay?
saw you about the audio body. We want to make sure you're doing well. And the 200
Did you
rounds.
just enlist in the army or something?
Is there a new militia we need to find out about? Do we need to register you guys? What's going on?
Here's my thing, and this is where it falls off the rails. I know you're pro-gun. You know, and again, no, I don't. You want to have a right to bear arms. I'm not saying here that you have to amend the Second Amendment, but again, common sense situations here. Let's flag somebody where they're buying some stuff that you're not going to need in everyday life.
But you've got three things. You've got the hateful posting, the body armor, and the rounds and the guns. I think those are three boxes that are checked off. That all of a sudden is automatic, like, oh, crap, we got to go check this guy out.
Like, there's a difference between you and I going to Bass Pro Shop, and it's like, hey, can I get a box of 9mm bullets because I'm gonna go to the range this weekend? And oh, that's really cool. I want a holster because I want to look sweet when I'm there. And yeah, let me get a anti-tank ballistic, rounds. With 3/4 inch.
Does that Kevlar suit come in extra large? I like that one. Can I try it on? You got to try a room here where I can try it out. It's whatever.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think we're beating a dead horse. I think we're all on the same page with the situation.
Sad.
I do think, again, we agree on there is no perfect end all be all solution, but there are parameters. There are steps that we can take from different angles that can solve the problem. Mental health, right? We've talked about that at length here on this show several times. Let's put more emphasis on that. Let's kind of flag those behaviors before it gets to this point where, hey, this is the solution. This is the culmination of all of my thoughts and my demons that are surfacing.
Yeah, let's get away from the political algorithms and let's focus more on the killing algorithms. Let's circle those words.
And how about let's depoliticize the situation and let's come to the table and let's make it happen.
Me,
there's over 50 legislative bills on the table that let's just table them.
None of those people, Republicans or Democrats right now, are in my happy place right now. None of them.
Listen.
This is all sides. They're all there just so they could keep their little job longer, man. Every one of those guys taking their money on the table, regardless what your party is, this is clear to me now. They're all words that I don't need to say, so our producer doesn't need to edit here for the next hour. We're eventually going to get a dump on it, and I'm going to have a field day eventually. But let me tell you that it's just hogwash. That's what I'm coming with. Hogwash. These people are in it for themselves. They're just in it for themselves. It doesn't matter. And, they're going to get paid even extra now to talk and deflect. And, there's a way to do this. These people are amazing.
And regardless of what side you're on, when things like this happen.
I just want to be on the side of people that are alive.
And these are publicly elected officials who are supposed to do their job in the best interest of the citizens of this country. And they're not doing their job. That's what sows discord with the general public. That's what sows
I don't have
division.
little kids. I don't have little kids, and this is just annoying to me. I can only imagine for you guys that have your kids, man.
That's the thing.
That's all I'm saying. Just look at these people. Need to start looking and going, bro. These are you should not be waking up and sending 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and not wondering if they're coming back. This is the United States of America, bro. This is not these countries that you're sending money to every week. Because these people can't eat. This is the USA. And we have to wonder about that.
And I mean, you hit it on the head. Like if this was 2 years ago, I kind of before I was.
Oh, before you had a father.
I have a father.
That's right.
Before I had a kid, it burns a different way for me now, and it's frustrating because this is something that as parents we shouldn't have to worry about.
And speaking to that, one of the parents from the tragedy here in Florida spoke up the other day and said, we printed out $40 billion to give away to Ukraine. And you're telling me that we couldn't print up whatever it took to put police officers or, people that can protect our kids in every school. And sadly, that to me hit a chord. Because we quickly print up money and we quickly do all these other...
That's for everything else. Ukraine.
Exactly. Right.
We print up every year for the defense. Let's make sure our military is always strong. We
put a lot of bombs. We put a lot of different fat into these different... or pork, as it's called, into these different bills.
Our military is so hooked up with money. We don't need to hook them up for the next 100 years. We could have everything that we have right now in our military will still be better than every other country in the next 50 years because we have so much of it. So I understand, but no, we need something new. Go buy that. Bro, put all that. Hey man, put it to you guys. Put money in your pockets to the teachers that are supposed to raise these kids so that when they turn 18, they don't become psychopaths. You know, like
and look, you have a teacher / coach, you have an administrator / coach that's on this podcast. Yeah. Our jobs are to help raise these individuals, these students,
to form these young minds into great minds.
And now we have to worry about, well, I have to put my body on the line, my life on the line if something happens. You know, what 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years, like we're not thinking about that. You know, I'm looking at my producer who I've known literally my entire life. Where we never had a thought. We walking to school, riding bike to school in the morning, that we were in danger of. Like to us, school, we didn't leave. We were athletes. We never,
And even me growing up, I got. You might not know this, but the Grizz was not always the Grizz. There was a little cub in me. Not that big, and I was tag teamed by other people, beat up, all that stuff. I had that. Everybody has that. But you know what? I gladly took a nice little beating. Come back the next day, get myself a couple friends. We beat you up. Normal stuff. Everybody walks away, and that's it. It was handled like little grown men. And unfortunately, now, if for some reason you want to try someone, you got to be careful. That guy might come back and just take down your whole class.
It's unfortunate. The default is, and we joke about it, but the default is now, hey, better make sure this guy doesn't show up, strapped next time. Because that's what we have to deal with now. With parents, who in this day and age want to defend their kids for everything when they're blatantly wrong and not allowing them to mature and fight their own battles. And this is where it's gone to. We're going to move on because this is a sports show and we do have some stuff to talk about. Obviously the mindset and of the Warriors were in a different place last night. Doncic goes crazy. Then the Mavs avoid a sweep.
I thought regardless of whatever, because you could say, oh, maybe they weren't focused because, Kerr was on that speech he gave and all that. I think at the end of the day, Doncic is that good of a guy, that good of a player that you weren't going to sweep him. You know what I'm saying? We take this now. Tomorrow, Golden State should finish the gentleman's sweep on the Mavs, put them to sleep. But that's the future right there. That's a top 5 NBA player right there. That's a guy that he took a bunch of nobodies and dragged them to the Western Conference Finals. And you come up against historically one of the dynasties of our league probably. And that's about it. And then, of course, the more concerning thing that we're watching now at the end of the first quarter to update the heater up 19-17. I'm feeling a little better. The beginning of this podcast was a little rough, but I think we're gonna be fine.
I do want to say about Doncic, just like you said, he dragged that team to the Western Conference. I think they've climaxed, right? Like I think it's the end here, right? Sorry, wrong word. I think they've reached, their max of this season. What was concerning to me, and again, this is looking at it, hindsight's 2020. Steve Kerr took out the starters. They were down by 29. The bench players for the Warriors got them all the way back to within.
And I think 8 points.
8 points with about 4.5, 5 minutes left, and then he decided, well, let me put the starters back in. If I'm the coach, and again, I'm not a basketball coach.
You ride it with the team that got you down.
I'm going to ride the wave with those guys that got you back to that point.
I would too, but you still got one of the best shooters on the bench. You got to put him back in.
It's hard to keep Steph and Clay on the bench With all due respect.
Well, they were cold, Coach.
I get it, but you figure they're going to
But
get
they're
warmed up
the
sooner
two
or later.
coldest guys that I think can warm up the fastest.
Those guys can get hot with one shot. So, again, I get it. I understand where you're coming from.
It's still good for the
Right.
backups to get that kind of
Correct.
feel. They got that play. They were able to see that, hey, it doesn't matter who we put in. You know lead is safe. And like I said, sometimes it's wrong or right, but sometimes teams are like, all right, good, you got this one.
And with all the accolades for Luka and stuff like that he's done a good job and he's carrying that team. Number one, he's got to play a little bit more defense.
Yeah.
I think he's too weak on the defensive side. And number two, they got to get him help.
Yeah.
They have to get him help, and he has to learn how to play with that help.
Yeah, I think they will get him help. I mean, you thought it was going to be, who was it, Porzingis that they had? You thought that was going to be it? That wasn't it. I think now that the league knows. I mean, they kind of knew, but now they know he's top 5. You're going to have people that are going to want to play with him, say what you want to say. But Cuban, I think, is a great owner. And, that's the kind of owner I would like to have under my book. The money's not a problem. So I think it's only up for Luka.
Right. I mean, again, I'm a big believer in basketball chemistry. I think the chemistry in basketball is huge, and they have to find the right pieces to go ahead and accentuate him and him feel comfortable not being so ball dominant.
Right. But
So
they
that
will
way he can open up his
do
game.
that because also you're going to have the fact that the Warriors, this is their last run. I mean, I think they still got 2-3 years that they can win titles, but they'll be capable of losing because the older you get,
They'll be long
you
in the
out.
tooth, if you
Yeah,
will.
but even then, it's not so much longer in the tooth. It's just they needed the 2 years of not making the playoffs to rejuvenate because they went 5 straight years. That's a lot of basketball. So I just think a couple years they still have, but once again, your next team that's going to be on the horizon are these Mavericks.
And by those 2 years, it also allowed them to draft players and develop some young guys that by winning or being in the top 5.
It kind of felt like when the Spurs got Tim Duncan that one time.
Correct.
You had that. They were always a classically good team, and they had that one year they were the worst. Then you hit the lotto, and and maybe the lotto for them was picking up a guy like Wiggins. This guy,
Drafting Poole,
the center that
Poole.
still hasn't. Wiseman. That a top center. That guy, if he ever comes to his own. Clay's contract. The thing with Clay is you always got to be careful because that guy's coming back from. Yeah, but he's coming back from tremendo
Yeah, I
injuries.
mean, 2 years worth of injuries and
which I still think the guy's going to be fine for the next couple of years, but
well,
you're going to be worried. You're going to be worried.
It also doesn't affect him as much because of, like, the style of game that he plays. He's a 3-point shooter. He resides on the perimeter, right? You can get by and still have skill set and not really hurt or lose anything because historically the Achilles injury that hurts the high flyers, that hurts the forwards. The guys that play in the paint. He doesn't play in the paint. When was the last time you saw?
I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about the knee.
I also think that Durant leaving and Durant struggling like he has might also influence him into staying and being smarter as far as his contract and being more tending to want to stay and
You talking
listen.
about Clay?
Yeah, and listen to the Warriors. Then say, well, let me go get a max contract somewhere else where I'm not going to be able to play. Or
Clay knows he's not a number one.
correct.
He has to believe that, and
Right,
there's no shame in that.
And again, his game is very good off of Seth, and doing all the stuff that they do off of Steph. Off of Steph.
No, I think
and they
that's-
play very well together. So like
This is a
Morales
Jordan
Frank
Pippen
says,
situation to me.
Correct.
And to be honest, I like how Clay looks more than a Pippen in the sense. Because before he got hurt, he was that kind of lockdown defender. He's still pretty good on defense. But he was much more than just the 3-point shooter. He was the perfect Robin to this Batman. And then you got a guy like Dre who knows exactly what he is. He's the ultimate Rodman in this situation. That's why this team, the way it was, oh man, they're just so good. Obviously, if they don't lose to the LeBron that year, Kevin Durant never goes. Because they'd be like, we just won. We don't really need you. Them losing, him losing, it was the perfect match.
I will say this though, okay? As great as they look, and again, they can go white hot in the blink of an eye. Whichever team comes out of the Eastern Conference Finals is going to play That's not. It's going to be a whole different level of intensity defensively against them. Like both the Celtics and the Heat play team defense. They close out. Yeah. You know, they're tough on the boards, and the Warriors haven't really seen that with the Mavericks. You know, so I think they're going to have to take that to the next level. The intensity is going to be different. So that might be their Achilles heel, if you will, in that respect.
Well, but I also think that their defense is underrated. I think the Dubs have a good. I mean, they play solid defense all the way around. If you take a look at the Warriors year in and year out are one of the better defensive teams. They just get their scoring
is
overshadows how well they play defense.
Well, right. No, and I'm not discounting that. What I'm saying is them on the offensive side going against their defense.
These two teams will have not faced a team like the Warriors on offense, though. So it is one of those. They, give and take. This team will have to face this. This team will have to face that. I think if it's the Celtics, Warriors in 6. If it's the Heat, as hard as it hurts to say it, Warriors in 5. I'm just try to give you truth. I speak truth here. Even though I'm excited if we play the Warriors because I love the Warriors. I think that team is so much fun. They play the right way, and they play with the right amount of, we're better than you that I like, that I know other teams hate, but I've seen other teams that do that warrant the hate. I just think the Warriors can do that because they are that.
And a lot of the issue with going against the Warriors, right? For any team, you saw the Cavaliers kind of fall into this trap as well. Is teams go into it and then they start to get pulled into, well, we got to keep up with them with the 3-point shooting, right? And it kind of screws them up and gets them out of their game because no team is going to keep up with them naturally. Like as a team facing them, you have to slow the game down. You have to keep them out of a rhythm. If you try to play speedball with them, and go, to use a football term, no huddle with them like they do, and it's not going to work.
I also give them those they win in those fashions because they have home court against both teams. It would have, even though we're the 1 seed, we have the same record and they beat us twice. They swept us in the regular season. So having the home court's huge in the NBA Finals.
Agreed.
Well, before we get off topic, in the draft last week, we were mentioning the player from Gonzaga that is to be the top. It's going to be Holmgren, the center, not Timmy.
We appreciate one of our great listeners pulled that out. That's how we are. You can talk to us. Let us know. Well, we mess up.
Give us feedback.
Right back. Yeah,
and we hold us accountable. This is a podcast of integrity. Yeah. So, all right, this wraps up our basketball segment. We're going to be right back with some NFL talk. And we're back to talk about some NFL and college football. I'm going to start off with something that grinds coaches' gears here. Your beloved Raiders have brought in Colin Kaepernick for a workout. And, reports are that he's got a good chance of signing a contract. And I know you have your thoughts. Oh, hold on, before I give it to you. I want you to rev yourself up here. Here it is. You ready? Okay, here we go.
My question is, a couple of years ago, the NFL was a plantation and the players were slaves. Now that changed. Now all of a sudden, it's not the way it works. What's the deal? What exactly is the deal? And that's my issue with that. Because if you're going to talk smack and talk down about the game and, we're slaves and they're the owners, then don't ever play again. Don't ever try to play again. Because you don't deserve to play. It's a privilege to play in the NFL. It really is. Only the best of the best get to play. Great athletes, guys that get the chance and go out on the field and make big plays, stay on the game. And you're gonna talk about it's a plantation. They're slaves. What history books did you read? Did you not watch Deshaun? Did you not watch? That's a slave. That's slaves. That's a plantation. Making $2-3 million a year if you're a top player. Making what? What's the league minimum? $600,000 a year. League minimum $600,000. But I take that in a heartbeat. As old as I am, I'll go. Let's go, bro. Put them on. Beat me up. I got you. I got 1 year. If that, I mean, I'll probably get hurt.
You got one play.
You know? No, I think I can last one practice. And after that, I'm in the trainer's room. But I mean, for $600,000, listen, we're going to do it. The plantation? Get the hell out of here.
Now, I think at last check, right, your weekly salary for being on the practice squad was $4,500 a week. I'll take that, and I will be a human tackle dummy every day of the week and twice on Sundays. Now, that being said.
No, Coach, you get Sundays off because you're the tackling dummy.
This is true. I'm in the stands. You're right. Thank you for the correction, sir. Listen, I will be the first to tell you that I stumped for this dude hard. Okay? I do think it was a travesty that he was blackballed from the league. I do think that he was done wrong. I do think that the old boys club, that is the NFL ownership, okay, made a concerted effort to, keep him out and on the, not on the sideline, but out of stadiums. That being said, the last time that he played was 2016. Okay? And we're all football guys here. That's 6 going on 7 seasons or whatever the case is where you have not thrown a pass in an NFL game or practice for that matter.
He's fresh.
Coach, Grizz, NFL quarterback, the position, the most important position in sports. And you're going to come back after 6 years of not even being in practice, not seeing full speed, NFL, defenders coming at you. I mean, listen, if the guy pulls it off, I mean, it would be impressive. But when was the last time that we've seen that? I'll answer it for you. Never.
My issue is if he doesn't pull it off, they're being racist. This is a lose-lose situation. Because if they sign him, he's not going to be that great. If they don't sign him, it's because, they're racist. They don't want him. Again, I personally, to be honest with you, if he's on the roster, I won't really watch the Raiders. I'll be done with him until he's off the Raiders.
I think.
Wow.
First of all, what's he? Even if he's on the team, he's not going to play. They have a starting quarterback.
Correct.
And even I think 6 years off, I think he's still better than most of the backup quarterbacks there in the NFL today. And really, that's all he wants. I haven't heard anything else other than he just wants a shot to be on a team. He's on a team. He's your backup. Really, no harm. Maybe he's able to play the backup for this year, and looks like he still has a chance. And then he goes to another team, and maybe another team gives him a shot. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think this is, I think someone's a little, as you like to say, poopy about their team, signing someone he doesn't like. I get it. I've been there with the Dolphins with other players. I just think he's harmless. He's okay to be a backup. We go from there.
Chris, the thing with that is that for him, it's got to be a package.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a regular drop back guy. That's not his forte. Maybe if he was going to the Ravens or something like that, maybe because their offense is more run-oriented, more sprint out, more things like that. The Raiders are not. The Raiders are more of a straight drop back team with Carr. They do a little bit of movement, but not as much as other teams might do. Maybe now the Broncos, again, with Russell Wilson, you get Russell out of the pocket so he can see better, et cetera, et cetera. To me, this isn't, honestly, he's not a fit. And for him to be a number one again, it goes back to being a Tim Tebow situation. You have to run the offense specifically
Cater to
for
him.
him. Cater to him.
But he's not going to be the number one on the Raiders.
No, but you said for like next year, whatever. Anybody that tries to do that again.
The fact of the matter, the only reason I'm saying he would maybe have a chance to be maybe a 1 or 2 in another team is just he's on a roster. So the fact that he's on a roster and he's practicing every week, taking snaps, figuring out again how the game is played. I'm just saying, the guy's going to be holding a clipboard. I don't see what the big deal is right now. And I think they even have another backup, don't they? So I don't think anything other than the fact it's just the name of a guy who's had the issues. You know what I'm saying? I just I think it's this topic has gone too far. I think we're gonna do our little segue to a guy.
The good thing with but one more thing though. The good thing with the clipboard is he can put it under his knee. When he takes a knee, he won't get his knee dirty.
There you go.
Clipboard's hard.
Segue.
Okay. Another guy that's been sidelined.
Yeah, to a guy
for very different reasons.
Who's been putting his knee down way too many times. You know, I mean, who knows how he's being massaged. But at the end of the day, you're usually going to be lying down, putting your knee down in a situation.
You're completely down.
You're completely
So it might be where he puts his knee up. It might be putting his knee up.
But you start with putting the knee down to lay down, and then maybe you turn around.
Well, maybe he sits on, and then he opens the knee, and it could be a problem.
I think we have this all wrong. Colin Kaepernick took the knee. Deshaun Watson is more of a spread eagle guy. So, too far? Too much?
Yeah.
Too much? Yeah.
As always,
now
leave the jokes to the real funny guys.
Recap. Okay, he did sign. It's no secret by now. We've talked about it. He signed the fully guaranteed $230 million contract. Okay, we're starting to see the faucet leak on the quote unquote his victims, if you will. Is victims too strong of a word?
Alleged victims.
Alleged victims. Okay. At this time. At this time, it's alleged victims.
Okay, that are starting to kind of come out public. We're putting face to names. Okay, my questions to you guys is, how is this only the beginning, or is this something that's going to be very sporadic, or is it going to turn into a waterfall and it's going to force the NFL and the Browns' hand into reconsidering the situation?
There's no reconsidering. The man's going to get paid. They did that. They signed their little
guarantee
deal with the devil.
Guarantee.
Here's the thing. We're only talking about, at the end of the day, how many games this young man is going to be missing this upcoming season. Because you're going to tell me, if you're going to tell me he doesn't get suspended for any of this, we're going to have a major problem. I mean, we just went from talking to a guy who doesn't play in the NFL because he took a knee, right? For 6 years. For whatever reason.
Well, no,
for whatever reason.
I'm not going to digress, but he did say disparaging things, and that I think is what got him more in hot water than
I don't care about all the things you could say.
But yes, I agree with you. Again, he has to get 6 to 10.
Because,
6 to 10.
We do live in a free country of freedom of speech, so he could say whatever he wants, even though a private entity could say, go take a hike. Get that. But we're talking about a guy that allegedly, 22 women, and we're living in a world.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I did say allegedly first. You don't have to repeat it. Then the second part is, now we have these women coming out, and when you put a face to the voice and maybe a little sadness, and I think one of them said that the contract that he got is disgusting. It's terrible. I mean, what did I say the other day, man? It's just, once again, common sense. The Browns don't care. The Browns need to win anything because they're so desperate.
They're dying. Those Ohio guys, they're dying to win.
Dying. We know an Ohio guy. They're all dying for this, bro.
And they're blind fans. Blind fans.
And to get a guy that has this on his table, I mean, we were talking off air again, as always.
On his table. I like that. Yeah. I like that. I like the way I like where you went.
Sometimes I don't need to think about these things.
I like
they
that.
just flow.
I like it.
Here's the thing. We got a guy, remember Roethlisberger, we've talked about this as an example.
Off air.
That he had a little indiscretion with one lady in the bathroom, apparently. And that cost him 6 games. And to this day, he's innocent, right?
There were no
was
charges.
He arrested?
There were no charges.
At any point.
That is a perfect example because there were no charges.
At any point was he arrested?
No,
Nothing.
sir. There were no charges.
It was he say, she say, and it was 6 games. It's 22, man.
Oh, she says.
22.
22, she says.
Yes. And a few of them are now coming out on TV, and this has been going on for a year. I mean, look, if you don't get 6 games, and I already said 10's my number, because now that they got an extra game, go get your 10 misses, then you can play the last 7. It's looking like a year. It's looking like, hey, why don't you take that money you got, take a break, get a little bit more in shape. Then he's going to have 2 full years. So then, you just said it. Can a quarterback come from 2 full years of not playing in the NFL? Well, we're going to give that guy a shot. Well, Michael Vick is another guy that was in jail for a few years. He came back. I'll never forget the Monday night he had. That helped my fantasy team that specific night. And that guy had like 3 years of not playing in the NFL. Listen, man. People who are athletic and have gifts can do it.
Well, here's my thing. I've always kind of seen the contract. Like, I think the dude needed the $230 million because I think about
to pay off all his lawyers.
I think about $100 million of that is gonna go towards the Deshaun Watson Heavy Pet Foundation. To pay off these chicks and keep them quiet. And again, legal fees, like Coach said, like it's. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's very.
Basically, the Browns knew that. They're like, the Browns are paying off. That looks even better.
Well, we can very easily get to $100 million in between payoffs and legal fees, like in a blink of an eye. Yeah. So I think he kind of needed it. I think the Browns kind of factored that into the situation.
This looks even worse now.
He's not paying $350 an hour. Those lawyers are $1,000 an hour type of guys, okay? And that their billing system is disgusting. So that's going to be...
This is going to boil down to one of the most expensive massages in the history of massages.
Yes. Numerous massages.
I mean, I don't know.
It's
if this man in Cleveland is around any masseuses, be careful, man.
You got to know when, sir. You got to know when to say no. You have to know when to say no. And I think Deshaun has gotten to the point where he needs to learn how to say no.
Let's keep going down the rabbit hole of these funny stories because now they're getting better. See, these are the stories I need to laugh about. Let's go to college football.
Okay,
round this one up.
So switching gears here, talking about grumpy old men. Okay, last week Saban coming out at a business forum where he was addressing business owners. Went full grumpy gills about the impending NIL situation and how Alabama is falling behind and not getting, it's not fair because Texas A&M bought all of their players and they got all of theirs or whatever the case may be.
Sir, if you are going to go ahead and trash Mr. Saban.
I was going to go there.
Okay. Please start out by saying it correctly. He says that when the players go to Alabama, they do it right. They get the NIL after they sign the scholarship. Not before, not as a buy-in. And that's what he accused Jimbo and Texas A&M. He said that they're buying their athletes by offering them NILs before they get on campus, before they sign on that line of demarcation. Okay? That is the story.
Whatever the case may be, I don't think he thought out the fact that I think this is the wrong program and the wrong coach to be going after because Jimbo Fisher was his OC when he was at LSU. And if anybody knows
where all the skeletons are.
If anybody knows where all the skeletons are hidden, okay, and labeled, it's that dude. And predictably, and in my opinion, rightly so, the dude was like, we're going to go there? We want to talk? All right. How about you ask him all the garbage that he's done to get his players in the past? Right? Now, again, Saban, we like to use the word poopy here, is poopy because now he can't do his under-the-table deals, to get his guys.
Yeah, 6 or 7 titles in the last 15 years is too little for him, poor guy. Let's go get some more.
Now, again, and I've expressed myself as far as the NIL is concerned here and what my doubts are about it. I disagree with his statement of parity because NCAA has never had parity. Okay, for him to even mention the word parity, there I do have to say, come on, Nick. Come on, bro.
Not even parity in his division.
Come on, buddy. All right. So I gotta, I do have to pick a bone with that one. However, I do agree with the NIL situation going out of hand and it being a pay for play scheme. That I do have issues with that, and those are things that we will discuss more at length over the summer as we bring more people on the show. I do think that the NIL does need to be, again, like we mentioned before, regulated. How is it going to be and how is it going to be given out? because offering money before the kid gets on campus, I think again is not what the intention of the NIL was or is. And I think that's what Coach Saban was trying to allude to, and he got a little carried away with some of his wording and some of the things that were being said. And then Jimbo did say, go ask some of the guys that are not coaching anymore. Go get those guys. I can't say it because I'm still coaching and I do illegal stuff. But no. Go ask those guys.
Besides the point.
Don't go after me. I'm still doing this.
I'm not going to say anything. But go after the guys that are no longer coaching. Go ask them what Nick used to do.
Yeah, I just think, listen, shots fired, sure. You're the, bona fide best college coach of all time. However, wrong target, bro. Go at UM or another program, that doesn't necessarily have someone. Well, I checked that because Cristobal coached for Saban as well. So,
almost everywhere you look, there's a little Saban disciple, so he's got to be careful.
And all I can say is, with that being said, circle that game and take Alabama. Take Alabama in that game. Don't forget they lost to A&M last year, and Nick Saban will make sure to make that game a point. That game will be
at Alabama.
That game will be an Alabama take for sure. For sure. You heard it here first.
That's one of the things I'm missing about football season, these deep dives. I love the deep dives.
The deep dives are amazing. Now, staying on the topic with the NIL, it's opening up Pandora's box. I do, agree with your point about there needs to be some form of regulation or structure to it because it is the Wild Wild West right now. However, it is a free market economy. You know what I'm saying? Like it is. Again, we've talked about it. These are young men with a special talent, and they should be able to profit off of their talent, right? The better players are going to get the bigger deals, all right? They're going to be more prominent. They're going to make more money, okay? So it is the quintessential gray area with when we talk about regulation. What are we going to do? Cap the amount of money that they can make? That's kind of going back to the heart of the issue of them not being able to maximize their profit and their abilities to the maximum extent.
But their profit comes in when they go to the NFL. This was not a maximization of profit idea. This was an idea to put money in their pockets to help them while they're in college. They are getting a free education. They're getting free room and board. They're getting all those perks. Now, the idea of the NIL was to put more money in their pocket, which is, again, got it, agreed, understood. It was not the get-rich situation because the idea of the NFL is the get-rich situation. That's the goal is to get to the NFL. No, is that not the goal anymore? Is that no longer the plan? Well, I don't understand.
Some of the good ones that do make the money are not going to make it to the NFL, though. Not all of them will make it to the NFL.
But when you're talking about the guys that are supposed
the main
to be
guys,
your 4 or 5 star recruits,
your first round picks,
and your second round,
yeah, they're the big, first, second. Some
and
of the money might be
third.
better. Some of the money might be better right now. I mean, at the end of the day, money today will overshadow anything in the future because they don't know what's going to happen. Injuries could happen. You might not be
and
the same player.
And then that's the idea of getting an education.
Right.
Because when the injuries come, you get your education and you're able to network and you're able to fall back on it.
I've always said, I don't know how this works. This is weird. It's shady. I just know that as an adult, I should be able to make money off my name, however so it is. I believe if I'm good enough and people are going to sell a jersey off me, a card off me,
but now
I feel...
Right, but it's no longer that. The thing is, the what situation has become is that now there are football clubs, right, or college clubs, which they're not called booster clubs. Right. But yes, they are in essence a booster club that are created, and these booster clubs or these clubs are the ones that are giving the money to the players. Right. It's not anymore. I'm selling your jersey.
Right.
Which
they
again,
were
I
giving-
get you.
They were giving the players 30, 40
you're
years
doing-
money.
Right, correct.
Just
Yes,
saying.
it was. And
Now
they,
it's more, hey,
they used to
hi.
wash the cars.
Yeah.
They used to go wash the cars.
Listen.
And again, it's not.
But-
It's not you're doing a commercial.
All I know is you shouldn't be penalized when back in the day we were penalized for you get a pizza from a guy. You get bucks here from. I'm just saying.
I agree.
I
agree.
I don't understand. I don't understand how last year one of our King, our quarterback, one of my buddies, he's the guy who ran his NIL, and the fact that guy made tons of money, that guy's never going to see the NFL. So it worked out for him. The quarterback that was in UCF that went to FSU that got the major knee,
Gabriel.
He also got an NIL. He's with them. He got paid. And that guy I don't think is going to have a future in the NFL. I'm just saying it's just good that they're making money off them as adults. The schools are making mad money. Everybody's making a little bit of money. It's now, how are you going to, exactly, how everybody's going to get paid? Oh, maybe I should make some money. Why is this guy making
But
more
now
money?
your example shows two guys that are 4 and 5 year players.
Right.
That are guys that were getting their degree, worked to get their degree, have been around. And again, I get that. Yes, I agree with you. They should get money. They should get something for their playing ability. No argument. Okay. My issue comes in, like I said, when we're making these deals with the guy before he comes in. Just like it was dirty before. If you got caught, you got suspended. Because you were taking a lot of money.
But before the NILs, what had just been happening? What's all the transferring that's been going on?
Well, the transfer portal. The problem is that now it's a double whammy.
Right, but before the NIL, that to me was worse. Because at any moment, I'm leaving the school and going somewhere else.
But now it's becoming, I'm leaving because there's a NIL.
But what if there was no transfer portal? You just go because of the money.
I just think that those are things that have to be now readjusted.
They're readjusted and things that unfortunately is going to be the future. And they're going to have to adapt. I just don't think it's killing. Like, that's what I'm saying. The bottom line, I don't think it's going to. This does not affect Nick Saban one bit. And that's what I'm going at the end.
I think it's just an affirmation of
the big schools will still get the big names.
I think it's just an affirmation of the status quo. That it just reaffirms the haves and the have-nots.
Kids have some skin in the game now.
But with that being said, though, I do think that your Cincinnati's, your UCFs,
they're going to get affected.
I think that those teams like that,
they're going now into the same conferences.
They're trying to, they will never be able to produce what these other schools can.
You're right.
Okay, and that's
maybe you're right.
That's my concern. My concern is that those
30
teams,
years ago, 20 years ago.
I get that, but over the last 4 or 5 years,
they've
been able to recruit. They've been able to get guys, and they've been competing. So now all of a sudden they're now back to 20 years ago because they do not have enough of that money to be able to create those NILs for those players.
They're going to need
so like I said, that's always my.
Need those ex-Bearcats to come through. I don't know. At the end of the day, I just think this guy's crying for no reason. He better be quiet before, you get what you want.
Yeah, they air out his dirty laundry.
There's a lot of people that won't be sad to see him get caught,
No.
I just think that this NIL thing is in its infant stage, and we don't know. It's one of those things you need 5 years at least to see the.
Well, right. You made the point. You brought up the point that I was going to make, that with the NIL, right? It's just like any other novel concept or situation that comes into the fray. Whether it's a new company that's disrupting a sector or whatever. At its infancy, everybody, we don't know how this works. It's kind of the Wild Wild West. You have own towns or cities or states, whatever, making their own laws and rules to govern it, until eventually the bubble's gonna burst, right? It's gonna hit its crescendo, if you will, and then it'll kind of start to even out and get regulated after the fact.
We can agree. There's not going to be an NCAA in a few years.
Yeah, I think
things will start.
5 years. I think
things will start detaching.
There still needs to be a governing body, though. Yeah. Whatever that may be, I do still believe, though, there needs to be a governing body.
Of course, there should be something on top that will watch.
There has to be penalties. There has to be something that deters.
The major conferences, though, the heads of the major conferences will probably just elect
Well, Coach, I agree with you. So let me
group of people.
let me amend my statement there. That yes, I don't think the NCAA as we know it now is going to exist with all of its. Remember, a lot of these rules were made at the turn of the century, but even 100 years ago, 120, there were still dudes that played for when Princeton's and the Harvards back in the day were the football powerhouses. Those dudes didn't belong at those schools, those institutions of higher learning. They were there because they could play football. So this has been around for 100 years. It's going to be around 100 years from now. They're still going to continue to find loopholes. Now, the NCAA as we know it, I think is done.
50 years from now, the robots will be playing.
I think it will still, a version of the NCAA will still be in existence, but it will be more of the academic clearinghouse. Do you have your credits? Past the clearinghouse, things of that nature. But the money machine that it is with its tournaments and its stranglehold on controlling the landscape of sports, I think that's done. I think it's going to go back to the conferences and they're going to turn into leagues, if you will. So that being said, a little bit of a light show in terms of topic and news. I do want to take a moment to mention our sponsor, General Carnitas Gourmet Meats. They do have a Memorial Day sale event, okay? 15% off all products with free delivery, okay? And that's active until midnight of Memorial Day weekend, okay? Code is
Memorial Day?
Of Memorial Day, yes, sir.
Because you want it for Memorial Day.
Because you want it for Memorial Day.
What's the website?
We all barbecue on the day of Memorial.
GeneralCarnitas.com. Okay, when you're at checkout, use the code MDW2022.
And before we shut this down, I do have to remiss and say our Panthers are no more. The Lightning yet again have taken and defeated us. Took a team that the entire season had not been shut out. The entire season had 3 games of only scoring 1 goal. And in one series, in 4 games, had 3 games with 1 goal and 1 shutout. We played the most disappointing series I can even say, and I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but that's just, sorry, pathetic. And yeah, it sucks to end it on another sour note to a team that probably will win the Stanley Cup and 2 straight years lose to a dynasty-style team. But at the end of the day, we're the President's Trophy winner, and we came up weak. Came up very weak.
Yeah, sadly, as one of our chat members wrote in there, our special teams didn't play well. We didn't get any power play goals. It was a very poor showing at that level, and against a good team because Tampa Bay has been
once again
a great hockey
they are
club.
the
over the last
2-time
5
defending champions, looking to be a third, which hasn't happened, I think, since the 80s in Edmonton, a three-peat. So obviously, if you lose to that type of team, not too shabby, but still, you got to show up. And 3 goals in 4 games when you were by far the best team in the league. And I mean, I think only 5 teams in the history of the league had more wins than we did this year. And to have that, it's one of those. It feels like the Pistons trying to get past the Bulls trying to get past the Pistons. It feels one of those like when we get past it because it's a young team.
Losing four games to 3 would have been a little bit more understandable. You take it all the way to the end.
I always say there's no way to digest it. You lose by 30, you lose by 1, you lose.
Correct.
But as always, you want at least a competitive
sucks.
game. I mean, one of the 4 we lost with 3 seconds to go in the game. That's just gut punching, man. But it's okay.
They were sure they were relaxed for game 4 though.
Absolutely.
They went out.
They
go to Mars Venus and
30 shots more than Tampa Bay, and I've never seen there was 2 goals for Tampa Bay that were turned back. I was like,
the night before,
they're keeping us in it.
The night before game 4, they ended up going to a strip club. The Panthers wanted to make sure that their mind was right for that game.
They went to Mons Venus.
Sometimes you need a cleansing.
I'm a big fan of Mons Venus.
It's the wrong time. Wrong time.
Sometimes you need to get rid of some demons.
And back anyway. I want to just say also, guys, always a pleasure doing the show with you. It sucks. The basketball season, football season needs to come. We're gonna have a month of sadness coming. There's nothing to talk about other than baseball.
We'll get there. and we'll figure it out.
What we'll do is during that time, we'll start giving you previews to college, give you some conference previews, give you some NFL, and we'll start getting you ready
A
for
little
the
bit of
season.
deep diving already?
Yes,
Just
sir.
making me tingle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got to start. You got to work early, sir. You got to put the work in early.
Can't forget about fantasy. We got to start prepping for fantasy. That's coming down the pike too, as well. So it's gonna be some fun times. Maybe do some poker hand analysis. I know that there's been some.
We've been talking about that since day one. Hopefully that comes through.
You know, that'll be some good material as well. But
I think we could try that out during the low period in July.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Especially since most of the group are teachers and they have it off. So hopefully we'll be able to get together.
Our bad week segments. 2 coaches, 1 Grizz. Out.
Viewers.